Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville here. This is my daily thing I do on YouTube. It's videos about guitar and music and all kinds of stuff. And this week, 7 days, 7 modes is what this whole theme is. So today, Aeolian Mode. I remember as a kid, we used to think it was Alien Mode because it kind of sounded a little foreign to us, you know. Essentially what it is the natural minor scale is another way of calling it. I've also heard it called the pure minor scale. What you call it doesn't really matter, you end up with the same result. So, if we look at what it is, it's essentially a minor scale. So we have a minor scale, but we have 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 6, flat 7. So a little different than Dorian, which we've already covered a couple of days ago. Right. And if you wanted to look at what that was derivative of, it's derivative to C major, but as I've talked about before, I don't like to think derivatively. I'd much prefer to just think of Aeolian as its own sound. Now, there's a couple of things in here that are kind of key, right? It's really a minor sound, but if you play a minor 7, that's okay. But really one of the key things is trying to get to an F in some way, because it's that flat 6. So you'll often see Aeolian progressions where they go A minor to F in some sort. It might be more of a rock setting. That's a pretty common kind of chord progression, right? And the way I like to use it, to me I like to use it as it's a color that kind of is the sad color, because it really suits a progression like A minor to D minor. Right? Both of those fit. Now, I talked the other day about how Dorian to me doesn't sound like a minor scale. It doesn't have the sad element of a minor. And when I think minor, I think a sad element, right? That's kind of what I associate the word minor with and the minor scales with. But to me, Aeolian does have that. Cool sound, isn't it? And the chords we would end up with were basically the same chord progression you'd have if you played the diatonic chords that fit in C major, except now we're starting from A minor, right? So it's A minor, and then your second one, instead of being B minor 7, which would be the case in Dorian, we now have minor with a flat 5, right? And that's a cool sound. Right, and then there's your 5 chord, right? Next chord would be C major 7. D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G dominant 7, back to A minor, right? And out of that, one thing I like to do is sort of find what my what chords I can play, what diatonic stuff I can do. So with arpeggios, I'll do just A minor 7, B minor 7, flat 5. So hard to talk and play. C major 7, D minor, minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7. And I'll draw on all of those as means for improvising. Because the thing is, if I just play an A minor, or say play pentatonic or something like that, that's fine, but it's not really a modal approach, is it? A modal approach is kind of drawing on all the things that make up that mode. So the moment I'm thinking C major, F major, G7, so you can see there's a lot of possibilities out of that, right? And those are kind of very simplistic kind of chords, right? You can go as far as you want with that or as simple as you want with that. Both are valid. Just because something's complex doesn't make it more musical, it just makes it different, right? And the thing I like to do, I've talked about this quite a bit over this past week, is kind of explore these territories as like, where do these things go? And if I put all these modes together in the one key, you should be able to hear them relatively low, right? So if I play A major, A Dorian, A Phrygian, A Lydian, and A Aeolian. I've heard that called a parallel approach when we put them all into the one key. So the derivative approach is looking at what key they came from. To me, that's less useful because, as you can hear, when you put them all in the key of A, you can hear how different they sound, right? And then they become like colors. When I'm improvising, like, say I'm feeling like I want a minor sound but a prettier minor sound. Dorian, right? And say all of a sudden the music, I want to take it in a sadder direction. Okay, well, we're going to go into Aeolian. Even sadder again, I'll go into Phrygian. So you can see that we can take the music in a lot of different directions if we kind of explore all of these colors and what they mean, and what they mean in relation to one key. What are their intervals? Because, you know, like if you're thinking, okay, this one goes from root note up to flat second, up to flat third. Okay, well now we've got an interval between those things. This is an interval. And in Phrygian, that's probably the most important one. Same thing in Aeolian. To me, Aeolian is not as dark as Phrygian, but it's not as bright as Dorian, right? So it's kind of somewhere in the middle of those ones. I won't go into any of the other modes because we haven't covered them yet, but hopefully you found this useful. There's a huge amount of territory with this stuff. Modes are a lot of fun, I find. Especially as an improviser. If you're someone who plays set solos, well, that's a different thing. But if you're someone who's an improviser like I am, they're really fun. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll play you out with some Aeolian improvising. Hey, thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow. Cheers.